Had to come in and just weigh in some bite down boxing talk. From time to time, I do my this is boxing updates or rants, venting, and just kind of talk about my displeasure with the current state of affairs with boxing. But at the same time, looking back to last weekend's Kell Brooks, destruction of Amir Khan, some simple thoughts on that, and looking forward to, I see Conor Benn in talks of him being willing to maybe meet Kell Brook at 150. I just wonder, has Kell Brook kind of been a guy that we've disregarded? One, because he's from the UK, and then secondly, because he's just had these ups and downs. He's taken a hard knock. It doesn't seem like he's been rewarded for his willingness to challenge himself, or to quote unquote chase greatness, if you will. So maybe I'll get to that. And then secondly, I listened to Floyd Mayweather. I checked out the podcast, the Pivot podcast, where he was a guest with Ryan Clark, former Steeler and Washington football team player, as well as Fred Taylor and Channing Crowder. And I just wonder, what's up, Latoris? We don't even have a great spokesman for boxing. And this is Latoris has pointed this out to me numerous times, but we really don't even have a voice for boxing in America and the future of boxing. And nobody's even gives a damn, But I thought the Floyd interview, and this is maybe more of a reflection of, or my issue with the Pivot podcast. You bring a guy like Floyd Mayweather on the show, and they spent very little time talking about boxing. They didn't ask him anything else about what's his role in helping the next era of boxing, or what is his role as a steward of boxing. You've made all this money from the game. Can you help some other youngsters replicate what you were able to do? Can you, can you do anything? And they just let the guy sit on there and talk about creating generational wealth without really even asking a question about what the hell that really means. So anyway, let's get back to Kell Brook. The fight Saturday, I was a little shocked that so many of the pundits and the experts that I check in here and there, I was kind of shocked that the majority picked Amir Khan to win the fight. I think Amir Khan is a wreck. I think he's a shell of himself. I think because he was more inactive than Kell Brook, because the last time we saw him was 2 years ago or something, and we saw Kell Brook more recently. I think some people kind of forgot how bad Amir Khan looked. And for me, he's always been a 1-2. He's never been a stick and move guy. He's been a stick and crash guy. He throws the 1-2 and then dives in on you and bodies up against the other guy, and just crashes into you and just breaks off any kind of rhythm that you might be trying to get in, or if you're trying to counter him. He just shuts all that down with how he moves. I think his performance against Canelo may have been the best of him, sticking and moving more. And maybe that's because he was trying to stay away from the bigger fighter in that particular bout. But I just thought he was a shell of himself. He said all the right things, trying to sell the fight. And I felt like it was a decent event for boxing, being that it was in their home country and it meant something for them. I didn't have to pay anything to watch it outside of my my subscription to ESPN Plus. So it didn't really move me in one way or the other. I think for Kell Brook, I was glad to see a dude do what it harkened back to Sean Porter's performance against Paulie Malignaggi. Exactly. At a certain point, these guys in here who are shot and who shouldn't be on TV, who shouldn't be getting a good placement, a good platform, shouldn't be getting a certain amount of money, but they're making it off of name recognition. Beat the shit out of them and get them on and send them on their way. Like, we thank you for your service, Amir Khan. There was a time when you had some things going on. You were an interesting character. But at this point right now, everything you do, in my opinion, is a fraud. You know, he got great money against Terrence Crawford, didn't do anything in that fight. And then you come back here, and I feel like he was more or less the reason why this fight never happened when it should have. So I'm good with the way Kell Brook beat the hell out of him, and we move on. Looking forward, though, Conor Benn throwing out the challenge. You know, I might be interested in meeting him at 150. I don't want to say that Kell Brook is an enigma. That's too strong of a statement. I just think he might be a little bit of an X factor because you can't look at him as what he is as a fighter, basing it on what he did against Amir Khan. You know, he was just walking down Amir Khan. He got caught with a couple of punches, just kind of being a little disrespectful of what was in front of him. So he took a couple of shots, but that's not a good measuring stick for me if I'm Eddie Hearn or if I'm Conor Benn's father or team Benn. I don't know if you want to go in there. And I'm saying to do it at 150. If you can do it at 147, then I do it. But I wouldn't go out there and just concede to meeting him at 150 just to try to make the fight. The option is to face David Evanesian. I don't dislike that fight. I think that would be an excellent fight for him. I know Evanesian has a fight coming up, so maybe schedule-wise they want to get Conor Benn back in there sooner than what it would take for Evanesian to come back from his next fight. But I don't know. It seems like we could be disrespecting or devaluing Kell Brook just a little bit. And again, to make that concession to go up, it's just 3 pounds. I know, but I don't know if Kell Brook is kind of shy. And like I said, there have been periods for Kell Brook. Maybe Zarafa might have been one where I thought he should have looked better against Zarafa. But it's like we don't give Kell Brook any concern, even though he defeated. Some people downgraded or diminished what he did against Porter. I thought it was a good fight for him. It was a tough ass fight against Errol Spence Jr. until his health betrayed him. And then I think, you know, he was very active and went in there fighting to win against Triple G, who nobody wanted to really fight at that time. So it's almost like if Brook has his old punch resistance, most welters should think twice. Yeah, I mean, that's all I'm saying. Exactly. You summed it up right there. I don't know if Brook, you know, you're a little, and Eddie Hearn want to capitalize on the momentum from taking apart Chris Algieri last month or a month and a half ago. I don't know if Brook is really that easy to knock off right now. And I can't disregard how great how good he looked early against Terrence Crawford. Beat up, you know, he marked up Bud Crawford a little bit. But he got caught with a good punch, a weird punch in my opinion. And, you know, he got stopped. So we kind of overlooked the guy. Like I said, the pundits were actually taking Amir Khan to beat Kell Brook going into this fight. I thought so too. I appreciate the feedback, Latours. I know you out moving and shaking, man, but I appreciate the interaction. So, yeah, I mean, if they make the fight, great. I just think if you're going to give him the 3 pounds and you're going to go in there and fight the dude, if he is right, it could be a good night for a good test for Benn. I think he could probably get through it. But I don't know if the reward. What's up, Wood? Finally catching the lunch chat. Hey, what's up, Janine? How you doing? I saw Abbott Elementary last night. Was kind of funny. So anyway, that's it. I think it should be over with for Khan. I do. I would hope. I think that dude is taking more flush shots and probably been concussed more than any of the named fighters that I can think of. With the exception of maybe the last 3 to 5 years of Roy Jones's career when he was knocked out viciously several times. I don't know why he was continuing to fight on, but I think you know, Khan in an earlier phase of his career has taken shots that I really haven't seen too many other pros take. I think his speech has really changed significantly since he first came on the scene, and I think if he cares about his health and his long-term health, he should really stay out of the ring. getting to Floyd Mayweather, because I got to get off here because my lunch break is about over. Getting to Floyd Mayweather in this Pivot podcast, like I said in the intro, I really don't know if there's any figure out here to really speak on behalf of boxing fans and really try to help us navigate through some tough times and right the ship. And I didn't really expect Floyd Mayweather to do it on that particular platform. So maybe I'm speaking out of hatred that, you know, some of these former athlete shows and podcasts, you know, they're able to get who they can get, and then they go on there and as a listener or as a fan or as a subscriber, you or an end user, a lot of these conversations you really don't get anything from them, you know. And Ryan Clark said on the show how huge of a combat sports fan he was. He didn't ask anything about boxing. He didn't ask any good questions. Fred Taylor, and I like Fred. He didn't really do a whole lot. And Channing is just talking about girl collection and going to the strip club. Yeah, he shouldn't have been in the ring. Floyd is there to talk about. Exactly. That's all the podcast was Floyd talking about, you know, I buy whatever I want to buy, when I want to buy it. People think that he's still talking about what happened to him. At no point in time does anybody say, hey, Floyd, well, if you can buy whatever, if you can buy a $52 million mansion and all this other stuff that you, and any, you know, a whole new fleet of cars if you wanted to, you know, how come you don't invest in boxing worth a damn, you know? And I'm assuming these tough questions can be answered because you actually have the time to sit down and there's somewhat of a relationship there that if you're tactful enough, you can ask him a tough question. Now, he maybe can't put together no response on the spot and tell us anything, but at least ask the question, you know. But I just thought it was a waste of time. And Floyd is probably on some of your Latours, if you're still out there. Floyd is probably from that school of thought with the laws of power shit, where how you dominate the conversation and you control the narrative and you do all the talking and you do that shit. But he can't get past his own shine. I'd agree. But like I said, I kind of tuned into I gave it a listen, trying to think or being optimistic that maybe we could hear something about boxing and he could say something. Right, like I said, right now, this is after writing and covering boxing for the past 6 years. This is the worst year. This is the first year where I was completely pessimistic altogether. Like the glass is not half full. There's no water in the glass right now. It's just some sideshow that's over here, and it's a bunch of people standing around, and nobody. It's like no momentum towards anything, you know. Which kind of brings me to the other podcast episode that's out there that was kind of worthless. Was Brian Flores on the I Am Athlete podcast. It wasn't worthless, but not a whole lot said. But I just don't know whose pending lawsuit is kind of in worse shape right now for the individual. If I'm looking at Flores, who's now an assistant with the Steelers staff, and then Terrence Crawford, seeing him at the fight Saturday with Kell Brook and Amir Khan. Terrence Crawford is like in no man's land. Like, you got this lawsuit out here, but there's not even a path forward or nothing for him to talk about what his primary job is, his primary profession is. He's a fighter. And there's like nothing for him to even consider right now. And that's what I'm talking about, why I'm so pessimistic. Here we are, a top 3, top 2, maybe even number 1 pound for pound champion in the world. And there's nobody clamoring to get this man a fight, to make a fight for the dude. And I just think that's emblematic of how bad a shape the state of the game is. Period. You know, I'm not pointing the finger at anybody in particular, but it almost looks like at this point, Terrence Crawford would have been better off over in wherever in Europe this weekend at the winner of the Josh Taylor and Catterall fight. You know, that seemed like the only option for him. I did see a an article where he was talking about possibly petitioning. You know, he's the WBO welterweight champion, so he could conceivably request to be made the mandatory to fight up at 154 and get the winner of Charlo and Castano, which that's been postponed. So, like I said, I don't even know of a happy story in boxing right now, other than possibly, and nobody even gives a shit about this, but Chocolatito and Martinez. Y'all like who? Who is that? So that's the only thing that I have out here. Never seen anything like this Bud situation. He getting Westbrook treatment. Exactly. Exactly. Westbrook treatment. And we talking about a dude who averaged a triple double for 2 seasons straight, and nobody cares about Westbrook. But yeah, but I'm just it it's no other sport in the world. Shit, people are still talking about Brady playing. Brady retired, and it's still a story on TV today that he could go to Frisco or another situation and be in the Super Bowl next year. Ain't nobody trying to talk about Crawford. Yeah, I would like Crawford and Charlo. I'm a little over the fact with people trying to say that Crawford is a small welterweight. I'm not buying that anymore. I don't think he's the biggest junior welterweight, but if the man says out of his own mouth, I'm willing to go fight Charlo, I'm going to watch it. I want to see it. I just mentioned Kell Brook going up to fight Triple G. He went up from welterweight to go up to middleweight to face the man. So if they put it together, I watch it. I think it's some good animosity there. Shit, I take anything that I can get, of two guys that I know. Like I said, all I can really throw you today is that we got Julio Cesar Martinez going up a weight class to fight Roman Chocolatito, and nobody really cares about that. So I can't really think of another big time fight that's on the schedule at the moment. Oh, I guess Spence and you guys. So that's out there. But even with Spence and you guys, it's something hanging on. It's a cloud over that because we don't. Bud is physical, likes wrestling and shit. He goes up with confidence and gets. Yeah. You think he'll stop Bud? Nah. I don't agree with that. Hey, I gotta get ready to get off of here, man. Like I said, I just looking at Brook. I thought Conor Benn, that might be a little premature, in my opinion. I wouldn't base that move off of what I saw against Amir Khan. But if you're trying to make up an entertaining fight in the UK, then that probably is going to work. And if the kid is willing to do it, Eddie Hearn is a bit of a gambler and whatnot, likes to take risks. If they do it, I check it out. I just think I would have a modicum of precaution with that one. And then, like I said, Floyd, if you want to check out him on that Pivot podcast, I think anytime you have a podcast and somebody, first of all, Floyd talked for like the first 15 to 20 minutes about whatever he wanted to talk about. Like, they didn't even get to set the conversation up with like what we want to talk about today. All right, Janine, thanks for checking in. But for the man to tell you, to disrespect you and tell you, I'm gonna put a phone call on here to my pilot, my personal pilot in my private jet. I'm gonna get him on the phone and watch me give him some orders. Like, who the fuck thought that was entertaining? Like, who thought that was interesting? And they just sat here like, I've never seen a black man do that before. Like, goofy shit, man. Goofy shit. But hey, They did 900 some thousand views on YouTube in 48 hours, 72 hours. Good business. They get a Google check or a YouTube check. And I'm here with my 2 thumbs ups that I appreciate 3,000%. Bite Down Boxing. Don't let them count you out. Pay me no mind. Sports and entertainment. You don't have to be great to start, but you had to start to be great. Janine, I don't know if you left. I want to talk about Raised by Wolves on HBO Max, but I don't know what the hell the show is about. I'm in season 2, and it's all over the place. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to break that one down or not. But let me get on out of here. Enjoy the rest of your day. And we got some boxing this week. Okoli and some Ukrainian who's not in the war right now going on over there. Somebody that's out there. Catterall and Taylor, junior welterweight undisputed championship. And then we got Colbert. I'm pissed off that the Gutierrez fight went away. I really wanted to see him against, I think it was Roger Gutierrez. Now they got some replacement in there. So I think that knocked that down a little bit. Like I said, boxing is just a shit show right now. Let me get on out of here, though. Peace. I'm out.